This is a true story from 1846. It began as a journey of hope. In the spring of that year, families left Illinois and headed west toward California, chasing land, opportunity, and a new life beyond the mountains. Among them were the Donner and Reed families. They were not outlaws. They were not soldiers. They were mothers, fathers, children, farmers, wagon drivers, and dreamers. They traveled in covered wagons across rivers, plains, deserts, and mountains, following the long and dangerous overland trail toward the Pacific. But the journey began late, and on the frontier, time could mean the difference between survival and death. Along the way, the group made a decision that would change everything. They chose a so-called shortcut known as the Hastings Cutoff, a route that promised to save distance, but instead cost them precious weeks. The trail was rough, uncertain, and far harder than many had been led to believe. Wagons broke, oxen weakened, tempers rose, food ran low. By the time they reached the Sierra Nevada, winter was closing in. Then the snow came, heavy, early, and relentless. Near what is now Donner Lake, the emigrants found themselves trapped beneath the towering mountains, unable to cross the pass into California. Some camped near the lake. Others, including the Donner families, were delayed and camped miles away near Alder Creek. The snow buried their wagons. The animals died. The food disappeared. For weeks, then months, they waited in frozen cabins and makeshift shelters, hoping rescue would come. Parents watched their children weaken. Children watched the firewood vanish. The Sierra wind howled over the camps like a warning from the mountains themselves. In December, a small group tried to cross the snow on foot to find help. They became known as the Forlorn Hope. Some died in the attempt, but some survived long enough to reach help in California. The first rescue party finally reached the stranded emigrants in February 1847, nearly 4 months after they had become trapped. What they found was almost beyond belief: starvation, sickness, death, and survivors barely clinging to life. The full tragedy unfolded over several rescue attempts. Of the original Donner Party, about 87 people set out. Fewer than 50 survived. History remembers the Donner Party for the darkest details of survival, including reports of cannibalism among some of the starving survivors. But the deeper story is not only horror. It is a story of bad timing, dangerous choices, failed promises, brutal weather, and human endurance pushed beyond imagination. It is the story of families who believed they were almost there, only to be stopped by the snow. This is the true frontier tragedy of the Donner Party. This is Snowbound on the Sierra Trail.
Spring of 1846, the wagons rolled away, families chasing California through the dust and prairie haze. Children laughed beside the trail, dreams were packed inside. No one knew the mountains waited with a storm they could not outride. Across the rivers, through the plains, the journey dragged along. Then came talk of a shorter road that promised they'd be gone just a little faster westward. So the story claimed, but every mile of Hastings Trail would leave them changed forevermore. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, under endless skies of gray, the mountains closed around them and stole the light away. Holding on through winter wind another day. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, so far from home they lay. The wagons broke, the oxen fell, the food grew thin and small. Every day the snow came deeper, every night more cold. The pass ahead was buried, the road behind was gone, and every drifting snowflake sang a colder winter song. Cabins built beside the lake, smoke rose through the air. Parents watched their children weaken, fighting fear and prayer. Wood piles slowly vanished, hope grew hard to find. The mountain winds kept whispering, leave your dreams behind. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, under endless skies of gray. The mountains closed around them and stole the light away. Holding on through winter winds, praying for another day. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, so far from home they lay. Then a desperate band departed, walking through the snow. The forlorn hope kept moving where no wagon wheels could go. Some would never reach the valleys, some would never see the green hills of California or the promise of the sea. The storms showed no mercy, the mountains showed no grace. Only frozen silence across that lonely place. Yet courage walked beside them, though the world turned cold and pale. And history still remembers the souls upon that trail. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, under endless skies of gray. The mountains closed around them and stole the light away. Holding on through winter winds, praying for another day. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, so far from home they lay. When rescuers finally found them, winter still remained. The cost of reaching California forever would be named. Not for gold or glory, not for fortune's shining call, but for the families who kept fighting when the snow began to fall. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, the story still survives of ordinary frontier people fighting for their lives. Through the cold and through the darkness, their memory will remain. Snowbound on the Sierra Trail, lost but not forgotten by the plains.